Welcome to Essential Think. Today's video will guide you through the main characteristics of self-sabotaging behavior, what it is, how it develops, what are its major signs, and if you stick till the end, you will learn 4 important steps that will help you overcome it. Let's dive right in. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were trying to achieve a certain goal in life, but somehow managed to fail, simply because you made some senseless mistake and prevented yourself from succeeding? Or maybe you feel stressed or anxious every time you try to accomplish something important, and you eventually always end up preventing yourself from getting anything done. You feel like you're somehow trapped in this endless cycle of creating problems for yourself. Questions keep popping up in your mind. How does this happen to me every time? Why do I keep doing this? If any of these scenarios and questions seem familiar to you, you have been dealing with self-sabotaging behavior, or simply self-sabotage. According to some contemporary definitions, self-sabotaging behavior occurs when we destroy ourselves, physically, mentally, or emotionally, or deliberately hinder our own success and well-being by undermining personal goals and values. In more simple terms, self-sabotage is the act of preventing yourself from succeeding at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now, conscious self-sabotage is a situation where you're fully aware of the fact that what you're doing could possibly ruin your goals or values. For example, remembering that you need to lose weight, but you still decide to have donuts for dinner. And unconscious self-sabotage is when you do something that undermines your success, but you don't realize it until after the fact. For example, people who fear that their partner might leave them will break up a relationship as soon as they bump into any problems, even though they want to stay together with that person. These are often patterns developed in the past in order to deal with problems. Self-sabotaging behavior can impact almost every aspect of our lives, whether it's some personal goal, or a business idea, or a relationship with someone. Even though this is a pretty common thing, self-sabotaging can become very frustrating very fast, because it can keep us endlessly stuck in a cycle that can eventually destroy our self-confidence. Before we dive into the signs and potential remedies, let us take a look at the question of why do we self-sabotage? There are many reasons why a person might behave in a way that is harmful to their own future and well-being, whether it's done consciously or unconsciously. Here are a few of the main reasons behind our self-sabotaging behavior. 1. Wanting to be in control. The process of going through life, growing up, and psychologically maturing brings a lot of unfamiliar things and situations into our lives. We don't like the fact that we might be losing control. By accepting a negative outcome ahead of time, we are trying to regain some level of control. Technically, we control our own failure by engaging in this self-sabotaging behavior. This means we may engage in self-sabotage simply to avoid losing control. 2. Lacking self-worth. It's difficult to achieve anything if we don't believe in ourselves, and in order to have self-confidence, we first need to recognize our self-worth. If we consistently tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, or that we are unworthy, it's only a matter of time before we start acting the same way. 3. Fearing failure or success. Sometimes we fear that working hard and giving all we have to a certain goal might not be enough, and this idea can make us really stressed. In order to avoid this stress and potential failure or embarrassment, we give ourselves reasons why doing something is simply not worth it. Both failure and success are a big change from our usual status, and we sometimes subconsciously try to protect ourselves from that change by self-sabotaging. Now, the list of reasons could go on, but essentially our constant need for safety is one of the main reasons we conform to social norms or care too much about what other people think of us. Our human reluctance to get out of our comfort zone often feeds our self-sabotaging behavior. Now that we know why people self-sabotage, you might be wondering, how do I know if I'm self-sabotaging? To give you an answer to that question, let us go through 5 major signs of self-sabotaging behavior. Sign number 1. Procrastination. Sometimes you prepare for a task, do all the research, and just as you're about to get started, you realize that you're stuck and that it's maybe better to do this some other time. Your motivation completely disappears and you start delaying, rescheduling, giving up on things, and simply procrastinating. Procrastination is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage, and it makes you repeatedly put off something that you need to do, even though you know you need to finish it. Sign number 2. Putting yourself down. Whenever you don't reach your goals or keep up with the high standards you have set for yourself, you might start criticizing yourself. If you keep telling yourself, "I just can't do anything right," or "I won't make it anyway, so why should I bother?" then you're already preparing yourself for failure. Giving yourself a hard time might give you a temporary protection from other outside criticism, but in the long run, being overly critical towards yourself will not motivate you to do better, but do exactly the opposite. Destroy your self-esteem, prevent you from taking any action, and eventually give up. Sign number 3. Substance abuse. Using drugs and alcohol is a very common type of self-sabotaging behavior, and though it might help you relax and forget your troubles for a while, in the long run it might cause you damage and interfere with your plans. Having one drink too many in the evening will easily prevent you from being fully capable and efficient in the morning. Also, if you notice that you need a few drinks to get through a busy day, or that you need drugs in order to relax, this is a sign you're probably sabotaging yourself. Sign number 4. Initiating conflicts. This behavior includes always being ready to argue over anything, pushing people away from you, or picking a fight with them. Sometimes you may feel that it would be better to cause an argument and initiate a conflict than to allow other people to hurt your feelings. Such behavior helps you maintain a level of control by showing others that you're acting within your own terms and making your own decisions. However, you will eventually end up pushing people away from you for no good reason, which is definitely a form of self-sabotage. And sign number 5. Perfectionism. Having high standards and ambitious goals in life is perfectly fine unless it blocks you from taking any action. Being a perfectionist can force you to focus too much on details and try to make everything you do absolutely flawless, but also disregard any small success as unimportant. For example, you may spend a lifetime looking for that perfect soulmate, a person that has all the physical and mental ingredients you deem necessary. And in this process of striving for perfection, you may overlook, push away, or not even try to be close with someone who might be really fond of you. To you, however, it might seem pointless to even make an effort unless some ideal situation can be achieved. This paradoxical self-sabotaging behavior makes you miss out on opportunities and prevents you from moving forward in life. There are many other clear signs of self-sabotaging behavior, but the 5 we mentioned are among the most common ones. Alright, after understanding why self-sabotage occurs and going over the major signs of such behavior, it's time to turn to something more positive, and that is sharing these 4 important tips for overcoming self-sabotaging behavior. Tip number 1. Identify the behavior. Like any other method of introspection and digging deep within ourselves, it's not easy to detect and analyze the patterns of self-sabotage. We tend to put off making conclusions about our own behavior, and we generally don't like to admit that we might be doing something wrong. However, in order to stop such behavior, it is imperative that you confess to yourself that you might be self-sabotaging. When analyzing your daily behavior, you should consider things that frequently go wrong for no obvious reason. Is there something you keep doing, like for example drinking alcohol every night, that prevents you from being productive during the day? Or is there something you do that annoys other people? These are not easy questions to ask yourself, but understanding where the problem lies is a good starting point for improvement. Tip number 2. Learn what leads you to self-sabotage. Once you identify the self-sabotaging behavior that you want to eliminate, it's time to find out what makes you behave in such a way. What are the triggers, the situations, the thoughts and feelings that make you want to act against your own best interest? Maybe your partner unintentionally ignored your question, or you didn't like the way your boss was talking to you at work. Being ignored or pressured might cause you to shut down, isolate, and stop being productive. Other triggers and causes of self-sabotaging behavior might include feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities brought on by success, fear of failure and being judged by others, feeling self-doubt, being bored and not having a clear goal in life, etc. Make sure you track these triggers and write them down in a journal. Knowing what they are can help you replace them with some productive reactions. For example, if you feel that fear of failure makes you procrastinate and spend the day doing nothing, you can tell yourself, if I feel like postponing my responsibilities, I will try to work on my projects for 15 minutes and then take a break. These small positive steps will allow you to stay more productive and avoid letting things go altogether. Tip number 3. Practice dealing with failure. It's very common and normal to feel fear, anger, or some other emotional discomfort. These feelings are not pleasant, and you might sometimes sabotage yourself in order to avoid them. By trying to prevent unpleasant situations and feelings, you might miss out on many things you do desire. Moving on from self-sabotage isn't just a matter of planning and strategy, it is a matter of emotional tolerance. In order to deal with fear of failure or any other emotional discomfort, you need to build up and improve your emotional tolerance. Working on accepting potential failure is a difficult task and requires patience, so in order to get to the point where you're able to tolerate some of the emotional discomfort, you need to start small. For example, instead of immediately doing something to relieve or distract yourself from such frustrating emotions, try to tolerate it for a few moments, let's say 30 seconds or a minute. Each time you will get better at handling these obstacles and you'll gradually improve your tolerance and acceptance of realities of life. And tip number 4. Identify your true goals. If your everyday life has become a constant struggle to get anything done, it would be beneficial to analyze and clarify your goals. You will only be able to achieve something if and when you have an objective in mind. Once you've identified what changes you want to make in your life or what exactly you would like to achieve, choose one thing that you would like to work on. Now remember, trying to do multiple things or make several big changes all at once is not realistic. Making small but significant steps towards accomplishing something will allow you to slowly build things up and achieve more in the future. Having a step-by-step plan, regardless of how small these steps might be, will help you avoid doing random things and self-sabotaging. Try to improve your habits gradually, and whether it's only 1 or 5 or 10%, the results will certainly appear with time. Think about how these smaller actions fit into the bigger picture of what you want to achieve, and remember, progress is what you're looking for, not perfection. Of course, if you feel that a certain behavior is too overwhelming and that it's affecting the quality of your life, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Talking to a therapist can help you understand and process some of these feelings and allow you to reach your full potential. Okay, we've reached the end of another video, and I truly hope you've gained some value from it. If that's the case, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell for all new videos that come out. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and see you in the next video.